hours of sleep and a whole lot of caffeine, so I'm just kind of like a bundle of sleepy nerves. So I might be a little weird. So sorry. So anyway, I'm with Dallas Sumo Club. This is Dakota.
I'm Dakota. I'm with Dallas Sumo Club. I'm just kind of here.
Yeah, and you know we spend a lot of weekends just beating the hell out of each other, and it is the best fun in the entire world. All right, so we're going to go over sumo and anime and manga, and this is like my thing on the podcast that we do, Sumo Punx. We've done like several episodes about anime and manga, just because we're just huge sumo fanatics, So this is like our thing. All right, so here we go. Come on. So we're Dallas Sumo Club. And we're a non-profit dedicated to allowing people of all walks of life to try sumo. We ourselves come from all sorts of walks of life. I mean, me and Dakota are pretty much, physical opposites. We are united in our love of sumo and our respect of Japanese culture. Some of us come from martial arts backgrounds, some from wrestling backgrounds. Jared comes from pro wrestling. And there's a good chunk of us that are just massive weebs, if you couldn't tell. So it's getting more and more common for people that are involved in amateur sumo to have been inspired by Hinomaru sumo. It's like it's got that shonen power. You watch any shonen anime about whatever it's about, and you just get so into it because all the characters are into it. And that totally worked on me. So we're going to dive into the intersection of sumo, anime, and manga. And so this is for anime. Anime is like a window. And I'm sure a lot of you know that anime is like a window into Japanese culture, and you start to pick up some cultural nuances, that you wouldn't really pick up otherwise, like just from Wikipedia or whatever. So, there's that whole senpai, kohai relationship, that whole hierarchy of Japan, no, that's me, senpai. You see some of the customs like gift giving and, holiday customs like, Christmas kind of being like the Valentine's Day of Japan, and how people, at Christmas just love to get Kentucky Fried Chicken, just buckets of KFC at Christmas. It's a thing in Japan. They have like Colonel Sanders dressed up in like a Santa outfit. It's pretty wild. And then like with folklore, because I know I'm a huge Naruto nerd. So whenever, like about 20 years ago when it first started coming on, I was just like glued to it like every week, and that's when I started. There was a fan subbing group that would kind of start, they would put like little captions of what the cultural nuances are like, oh, what does this mean? And I thought that was really cool. So sumo is also a window into Japanese culture. Sumo is heavily infused with Shinto, and Shinto is central to Japanese cultural identity. And the rules and expectations in sumo reflect traditional Japanese values like humility, hard work, perseverance, dedication, and fighting spirit. And it also reflects Japanese, the hierarchy in Japanese society, like reverence for your elders, respect for senpai, and, hard work and dedication will move you up in the hierarchy.
By the way, Konishiki was cheering you on.
Oh, thank you, Konishiki!
For anyone who doesn't know, Konishiki was the first Ozeki who was born outside of Japan.
Ozeki.
What's an Ozeki?
Ozeki is like the second highest rank in sumo, so a Yokozuna is like, the highest rank. Ozeki is just right below Yokozuna. It used to be Ozeki was the highest rank until they started doing these Yokozuna licenses. But that's conversation for another time. So this is just a quick background. I'm not going to dive too deep into the, the history of sumo because I love that shit, but we don't have a whole lot of time for history, so. In the mythical origins of sumo, the first mentions of sumo are found in the Kojiki. It's ancient manuscripts detailing the history and the legacy of the kami on the Japanese archipelago, as well as the divine origins of the imperial bloodline. So, one of the contenders of the first mythical sumo match was this dude, Takapikazuchi. He is the god of thunder, swordsmanship, and conquest. He was born of the blood that was shed when Izanagi killed the fire demon Kagatsuchi. And see, check it out, he's riding on a catfish. I mean, how cool is that, dude? All right, and then the other contender, Takaminakata, the god of water, wind, agriculture, hunting, and warfare. And he is a distant descendant of the storm god Susanoo. And he doesn't have a catfish or anything, so he's all right. So the two deities engaged in combat over the land of Izumo. Takumi Kazuchi grabbed Takumi Nakata's arm and just crushed it like a reed. That's what it says in the origin story, just. So that made Takumi Nakata just like run like hell. It was like, okay, fine, you can have Izumo. And that was said to be the first sumo match. And so, I kind of went back. How do I go back? Oh, there we go. Okay, so sumo was not kind of like how it is today, with the ritual and the ceremony and, like only open palm strikes. It was more rough and tumble. It was more like pancration or MMA. It was, they had punches, they had kicks. They used it to settle disputes over land and water rights, as well as personal conflicts. There was no ring, and fights usually went on until unconditional surrender or until someone died. The earliest historical account of a sumo bout was between Nomi no Sukune from Izumo and Taima no Kahaya from Nara. And one of my favorite depictions of this is from Baki. And so Baki is one of my favorite martial arts manga, of all time. I just love how Itagaki just draws everyone's muscles and anatomy. It's just so weird. I love it. Okay, so Keisuke Itagaki portrayed this historical battle in Bakido. And there's two different Bakido. There's Bakido that's written in kanji, which is, Miyamoto Musashi, and the Pickle arc, the unfrozen caveman guy. And this Bakido is written in katakana, and this is just sumo. So here we got, what's his name? Nomi no Sukune. I think he is going to be on your right, and Taima no Kahaya on your left. Oh, how do I keep doing that? So according to the literature, both set foot upon each other. And set foot upon each other is kind of like a dry joke because the kanji for sumo means to either set hand or foot upon each other, it's just a dry joke. All right. At any rate, it seems that the two men had a brutal kicking match. They're just hauling off and just kicking the crud out of each other. They punched, they grabbed, and it's ironic. Kahaya, who had so boosted up the speed of his kicks, and that's what Taima no Kahaya. Kahaya means someone that kicks, fast kicks. He had his ribs kicked and destroyed beyond all doubts. Ultimately, it seems that the end was near. It's got to charge up there. All right. The result. Okay. Oh, I accidentally skipped one. Okay. Could it possibly be that the origin of sumo shiko was this single strike? It really wasn't, but it's just Itagaki kind of making a little thing there. And so, broke his lumbar region. Dude's dead. And Nomi no Sukune, the first, was resoundingly declared the winner. And that was the first recorded sumo bout. If you guys were here yesterday, whenever we were doing matches, that's Nomi no Sukune getting down in that squat position and doing that swipe with his arm. And that's to signify he's flicking the blood from his blade. Which I thought was pretty cool. And so anyway, here we go into the modern times. These are the reincarnations of Nomi no Sukune on the right and Taima no Kahaya on the left. And so sumo wrestlers, the Japanese term for a sumo wrestler is rikishi. And Nomi no Sukune, the reincarnated one, considers Baki and his crew to be rikishi as well. See, there's Baki with his triceratops fist. So regardless of style and discipline, we got Katsumi and Doko Orochi, they're, karateka. We got Hanagama, who's just a yakuza. And then we got Shibukawa, who does, what do they call it, Aiki? So according to the reincarnated Nomi no Sukune, they're all rikishi. So anyway, this is kind of when we start taking a little bit of the dive into Baki. And this guy right here, Kid Ryuzan, was hanging out with old man Tokugawa. And Baki, Tokugawa loves to book these fights underneath the Tokyo Dome where people just haul off and beat the crud out of each other. There's teeth and fingernails all in the sand. It's really gross, but I don't know, it's pretty cool. So Kid Ryuzan is a dead ringer for Takanohana. And he's a former Yokozuna, kind of a little bit of shady character. And so Tokugawa and Kid Ryuzan are like, hey, what we should do? we should get these ancient sumo rikishi, like Baki, his crew, Nomi no Sukune, and we should pit them against modern sumo wrestlers. Nomi no Sukune really liked that idea, decided to go out in the street and pick a fight with an ozeki. And that ozeki is actually based on Takayasu. I mean, total dead ringer for Takayasu.
They're both very hairy.
Very, very hairy. Takayasu was the werebear.
Papayasu.
Okay. So anyway, Nomi no Sukune, if you could kind of see what he grabs him by his shoulder blade. So, you know, in sumo, you grab him a washi, you know, to throw somebody. He grabs his shoulder blade and just throws him. But he didn't kill him, he didn't like hurt him, he just kind of hovered him above the ground and then set him back up and said, ha ha, I won. And so these are the other, you know, rikishi. These are grand sumo rikishi within the realm of Baki that are going to fight, you know, Baki and his crew. So this is Shishimaru. He's based on Akinoshima. And this is the top Maegashira, Shachi Hoko, who's based on Abi. Abi, by the way, spoiler alert.
It's
too late.
Okay, never mind. No spoilers.
Tell him. No, it's too late.
Okay, it's too late. So Abi actually won the Grand Sumo tournament last night in Kyushu.
Woo! Let's go, Abe!
I stayed up so late watching this. It was great.
That's my boy.
So this is the Dr. Taketsurugi. He's based on Asaki Kuni, the PhD of sumo. So I mean, you can kind of see the resemblance there. And this guy, 7'7", 639-pound Kyoge, who is based on is it Gataizamon? And possibly amateur sumo champion Manny Yarbrough. Manny Yarbrough was I think he was about 600 pounds. But this Gitazaimon was about 7'4", and he was maybe only like 400 pounds. He wasn't all that big, but still. And this is Hodoho, 5'4" and 213 pounds, who is based on the giant slayer Inho, who's actually 5'6", 220 pounds. And this is the guy that actually fought Baki in the manga, and it was way cool, way cool.
He's a little kid.
All right, and this is the Yokozuna Raiho, who is based on the Yokozuna Hakuho.
The greatest of all time.
The greatest Yokozuna of all time. So what's cool about Hakuho is the longest reigning Yokozuna. What is it, 84 tournaments? He's got the most top division wins and the most matches won in his professional sumo career.
And almost got the most winning streak of all.
Yeah, he almost
Until he
did that.
lost. He was Masato. He was 6. Where?
Yeah, 69 was the record.
Was it from Futabayama's?
Yeah.
Yeah, Futabayama was a sumo wrestler from like, what was it, like post World War II, 69 consecutive wins. It was pretty massive record. So that was Hakuho. This was like, you know, in modern times, Hakuho just retired last year. But that brings us to another manga. Harimana. So this dude right here is he's a Yokozuna, and he's kind of he's a jackass, and that's why I love him. So Harimanada declares his intentions to beat Futabayama's 69-bout winning streak, and he pisses off everybody in the Makuuchi division and the heads of the Japan Sumo Association, and he wears these masks. It's like you're not supposed to really wear masks like that. You know, sumo is a very religious, kind of solemn event in some respects. And so he starts to wear these masks, and these masks blow fireballs and smoke and, you know, all of this stuff. And a big taboo in pro sumo is women, you know, aren't allowed to enter the dojo. So Harimanada grabs this elderly woman from the audience and, you know, has her hoisted up on his shoulders, and then he does his ring entering ceremony. And of course, all of the old heads at the Japan Sumo Association are like, oh my God, what is he doing? And he's just like, I have my own lady. It was really cool. And then so pretty much the entire series is the Japan Sumo Association trying to throw everyone they can to beat this guy. No one can beat him, and he just keeps getting cockier and cockier. It's great. And so the anime about Harimanada aired in 1992, and there wasn't another sumo anime until 2014, which was rowdy sumo wrestler Matsutaro, which Caleb over here absolutely hates. And you know, it's no wonder, you know, because this character is really hard to like. like I said, I mean, he's not the only one. Nick over there, he hates Matsutaru too. But the anime, it's only one season so far, and it ends on kind of a sour cliffhanger. You know, it's kind of like, So I can see why. The rest of the manga's not so bad, especially after he, kind of starts like moving up in the world. But yeah, it's on Crunchyroll if you wanted to give it a try. I've tried to watch it 2 or 3 times, and I haven't been able to watch it all the way through. I mean, I've watched each episode, but it's like I do it in chunks. It's not binge worthy for me. Alright, so Sumo has also permeated other anime and manga titles as well. So if you guys have seen King and Ashura, there was Kyozan versus the pro wrestler Sekibiyashi. That was pretty badass, because Sekibiyashi comes out wearing the ginkgo leaf top knot, which was kind of a slap in the face to a pro sumo wrestler like Kyozan. And Kyozan ends up grabbing him by the top knot and throws him, and it takes the little hair tie out. Just kind of after that, all hell breaks loose. It's one of my favorite fights in all of King and Ashura. It's badass.
Mind you, grabbing the hair is very illegal in sumo.
Very illegal in sumo. Kyozan's kind of like the bad boy of sumo, but he's in King and Ashura, so he's punching and kicking. He's busting out the ancient sumo. Oh, Kyozan? Oh, I think so. That'd be pretty cool. Asa Shuryu was he was a mean dude, the demon of the dojo. He was overkill with some of his finishes. It was great.
He was a rather recent Yokozuna. He was known as kind of like the bad boy of sumo.
So sumo is so ubiquitous within the Japanese cultural consciousness. There was even Naruto. What was it? Jiraiya was trying to get Naruto to use his transformation technique to turn into a sexy woman in a thong. Instead, he decided to turn into a sumo wrestler. And then One Piece. Was that Urishima? Urishima, yeah.
Urishima.
Versus Luffy there. I mean, look at that dude. That dude's like, well, I don't think I'm that wide, but maybe that's all.
And then that looks like he's standing right in front of that every time. From my point of view, it's like,
All right, so this Kimari Tay right there. I mean, that was actually a really cool scene. That was awesome. Okay, and then the time that I was reincarnated as a slime, Rimuru Tempest was like, hey, what we should do? If everyone's bored in the village, let's do sumo. And of course, it degenerates into butt sumo. So that's kind of like, the pro sumo and, kind of, the more cultural aspect of sumo. So now we kind of get into like sports manga, and, if any of you have ever read or seen like Hajime no Ippo or what's the one with the basketball? I can't remember.
Kuroko no Basket. I said that wrong, please don't crucify me.
No, but anyway, so, these sports manga, these shonen manga and anime, like, I don't know how and why, but it just gets you really into what they're doing. It's like everyone's just so pumped up about it. You're like, yeah. And so this first one, Uchari Goshogawara, I haven't been able to find any English translation for it, but there is a raw anime version I found on YouTube. And it looks pretty funny. I just wish I knew more Japanese. And then Rikicho, it's about this girl, and it's more of a shonen than it is a shoujo, because it's a little, slightly perverted, not too perverted, just a little, just a taste. So the titular character, kind of starts to grow and mature, and gets a little bit too big for her other extracurricular activities, so then she moves to sumo and is a total badass. Again, not in English, just kind of have to glean what's happening from, kind of moving through. And so the one that is translated into English, the most well-known, Hinomaru Sumo! Alright, so everybody who kind of is soaked in anime and familiar with sumo has probably seen this, and if you haven't, you should check it out, because whenever I first got into sumo, I was just watching, tournaments on TV, just staying up late at night, and I was like, man, I really wish I could do that. And then once I saw Hinomaru Sumo, I was like, no, I'm gonna go do that. And then luckily I found Corey on the internet. Dallas Sumo Club exists. Now my soul is happy. And it's all thanks to Hinomaru Sumo. So anyway, Hinomaru Ushio is a short king. He's like Enho and Maina Umi, Midori Fuji, just a short dude kicking some ass. I mean, look how short this dude is. So, you know, he was too short to get into pro sumo because at a time they had a height, height requirement. And he did not meet the height requirement. So there's like a couple of back doors to get into pro sumo. It's called Tsukadashi. It's like a preference. And so if you win one of these major amateur national tournaments in Japan, they'll give you preference to either go into the third division, which is Makushita, or even into like the fourth division, which is Sandame. That's how, you know, Hinamaru ended up getting into pro sumo.
Mind you, the height limit is 5'6".
And so Mina Umi, who is now, what do you call that? He's a commentator on pro sumo. He had silicone injected into his head so that he would be tall enough to enter pro sumo. Like no bullshit. Look at him, he's got that cone head thing going on. And yeah, he really did do that. He's a character. He's a strange kid. All right, so these are the characters. Okay, you guys know Shinya Ozeki if you've seen Hinamaru Sumo. He's the captain of the Odachi High Sumo Club. And, you know, he's very tender-hearted. You know, he cries if he loses, he cries if he wins, and he just loves everybody so much. Even Yuma Gojo, you know, the guy that used to bully the hell out of him. And so there's a time skip. You know, so if you've seen the anime, you know, it's 24 episodes long. After the time skip, he becomes the pro Rikishi Tarotachi. And he's got that big old scar on his forehead. He was doing that by headbutting a tempo pole, just a big wooden pole. It was pretty brutal, which is kind of, you know, different from his character in the anime, you know, because he's just so gentle. But this, he gets mean and starts kicking ass at karaoke. All right, Chihiro Kunisaki, who is right here. Chihiro Kunisaki is like a wrestling champ. You know, he does like what do you call that? Folk style wrestling or amateur wrestling, freestyle wrestling, whatever it is. Dude's a wrestler.
He wants to be a pro wrestler.
He wants to go pro MMA. Yeah, he wants to like start beating that up. And so that was his whole deal, you know, with getting into sumo, was because Hinamaru beat him. Hinamaru said, okay, yeah, you can use wrestling rules, I'll use sumo rules. And beat him like multiple times. And he's eventually like, you know what? Okay, let's do sumo. So after the time skip, he moved to the US, became an MMA champion, and had a kid. So kind of weird. All right, Mitsuhashi. Mitsuhashi, who is, you know, he might not have the stature, but he has the fighting spirit. He has to rely on like trickeration and agility and speed to try and, you know. So he's kind of what's the word? He doesn't really win anything, just has you know, the first. Yeah, he's kind of how would you describe this?
How would I describe Mitsuhashi?
How would you describe Mitsuhashi?
Clever. Very, very clever. He figures out ways to just really anger his opponent and make them drive straight forward. And because that's all sumo is pushing your opponent out, pushing them down, beating them for a lot of people with force and technique. He only has technique. He has the stature that doesn't allow for force. So he has to come up with all these crazy techniques that he has to use to win.
And this is him using I can't remember the pronunciation's correct, but I think it's a Bolshoi Tobi, which is the 8-book jump. And yeah, it's kind of a hinka. You know, hinka's like a sidestep where you know someone's charging him, you just kind of step out of the way. So after the time skip, he got bigger, better at sumo. He stayed in Odachi High Sumo Club and somehow became sexy. I don't know how he became sexy, but everyone loves him now. All right, Yuma Gojo. So you remember, this was the guy that tormented the hell out of Shinya Ozeki. Him and his group of thugs took over their sumo dojo, and you know, they just kind of made life hell for, you know, Shinya Ozeki for a while. Until Hinamaru showed up, beat him up a couple times, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to do sumo. I just love that about shonen. Whenever, you know, the antagonists get beaten up, they're like, okay, we're friends now. And so Yuma stayed with sumo through university, and he started studying medicine and is apprenticing under this guy, Dr. Kanye, who is he's a mad scientist. He's got all of this crazy machinery, you know, to, you know, heal, not really to heal, but to kind of put sumo wrestlers that are injured, you know, back into fighting shape, at least temporarily. So that's kind of what Yuma's doing at the moment. Oh, Spoiler. So there's Kirihito Tsuji, Glasses Kun. You know, the guy that was like the coach, manager of Ogashi High Sumo Club. And he can wrestle, but he can only go like 20 seconds at a time because he's got like some. They never specify what type of lung stuff he's got going on, but
He's got asthma.
he's got answers. All right, so Glasses Kun went into pro sumo. He became Onikiri Yatatsuna, and he's in Juryo at this time, so that's pretty cool. That's the second division. All right, so I don't want to spoil way too much of that because you know after the time skip, and keep in mind those aren't spoilers. That's just well-known stuff that happens in the time skip. It's just kind of plot points. But you should definitely read the manga of Hinomaru Sumo because it's so good, and the ending is kind of weird, but it's so good. So anyway, we want to go ahead and take some questions. You guys have any questions about sumo and anime? Because otherwise, I'm just going to start ranting and raving about things.
Oh, are you asking me? Did you see in Matsutaro when he daydreams about going to Hawaii?
Oh, Matsutaro dreams about going to Hawaii?
And then there's a blonde Rikishi. Do you think that's John Jocks?
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
I think it is.
Okay, so she was asking, in Rowdy Sumo Wrestler Matsutaro, when he's in Hawaii, he sees like a blonde sumo wrestler, you know, in Hawaii. And there's actually, what was it, in the 70s that he was, I think it was in the 1970s, there was, I think he was in the Army, Air Force?
Not at that time. At that time, he was a teacher.
Oh, he was a teacher, okay.
That's
So
why I had 3 months off in the summer to do this.
yeah, Mr. John Jacks is actually, I would probably say, one of the godfathers of American amateur sumo. And it's possible that maybe, because John Jacks was actually recruiting a lot of Hawaiians, you know, to try pro sumo. I can't remember the exact figures, like double-digit Hawaiian wrestlers that he got to go into the pros. And some of these Hawaiians got big. I mean, not just big physically, but, you know, they went up in the ranks. So there was like Konishiki. You know, Konishiki's still around if you're into sumo, Konishiki is definitely still in the sumo world. He was one of the biggest guys but he dyed his hair crazy colors for a while too. It's pretty cool. There was Akibono. Akibono's about like 6'8", 400 or 500 pounds, something.
He was a little fun.
Yeah, Akibono. I think his real name was Chad Rowan. It's like, oh, Akibono, or hi, Chad. There was also, what was his name? Musashi Maru. Yeah, Musashi Maru was he actually became a Yokozuna, sumo's highest rank, and he has his own stable, the Musashi Gawa stable. He was the first?
Akibono was the first one.
Akibono was the first Yokozuna born outside of Japan. Period.
Yeah. So there's a huge legacy of all these, you know, Hawaiian wrestlers. So right now it's the Mongolians that are kind of ruling sumo. But in the 80s, 90s, that's whatever the Hawaiians, you know, were making their name. And it was cool because back then they would put sumo on like ESPN. Like there was a lot more English-speaking sumo back then. These days, it's kind of going through another renaissance. But back in like the early 2000s.
Nato Sumo.
Yeah, really hard to come. Oh yeah, Nato Sumo, if you guys know. If you know, you know. All right, you guys have any other questions? Seriously, because I'm just going to rant and rave with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think we spent nearly long enough discussing butt sumo.
Okay, not nearly enough time discussing butt sumo.
We do that after hours.
That's
Sumo after dark.
All right, so you know you always hear these stories about the taboo that women are not allowed in the dojo, and that is true for like pro sumo and the pro sumo that we know. But I would say late 1800s up until about World War II, there was Onna sumo, and there were women rikishi, and it wasn't like a sexy thing or a men's entertainment thing. They were actual serious sumo wrestlers. And you could search, you know, history books or, you know, the internet, whatever, and you could find group pictures with these just very mean-looking women, and they got the ginkgo leaf top knot. It's really badass. There's a movie called The Chrysanthemum and the Guillotine that goes into one of these troops of, you know, women sumo wrestlers. Really good movie. You should definitely watch it. Chrysanthemum and the Guillotine. Anyway, so that was actual, real, serious women's sumo wrestling. That's not to say that there wasn't the men's entertainment, derogatory sexual butt sumo. That was a thing. It really was a thing. It was an historical fact that, they would jump up on like a table and just try to wrestle each other with their butts, push each other off. They made an anime. Oh God, they made an anime. It's called Keijo. Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, I don't know.
No, Keijo is, it's pretty much a professional butt sumo league. And so they're in a swimming pool, they have this like floating platform, and then they're sitting there just, and of course they have special moves, they have, because every fighting anime has like their special moves with their really cool names. And so they're on this floating thing, busting out these badass, dragon butt moves. It's just, I wish I could remember some of their special moves because it's just totally ridiculous. But yeah, Keijo.
As he talks about this, I realize how not a weeb I am.
Yes, he is surpassed.
Perhaps.
But yeah, what's up, Jared?
What's your special move called?
Oh, my special move?
Yep. Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
Breaking my back?
All right, so let's see. I will have to call Mike because I just kind of put all of my weight on people. And I am a member of the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma. You know the bad guys in Dances with Wolves? The bad guy Indians? That's what I am. So I would say my move is the Pawnee Crush.
Oh, the potty
The Pawnee Pounder.
Mine is just slapping people.
He does. He slaps the shit out of people.
I fight like Gojo from Hinomaru Sumo. I just slap people. That's all I can do.
So we have some of our practices on the Dallas Sumo Club YouTube channel and Instagram and all that. I can't remember which one it was specifically, but Dakota was slapping the shit out of Jared, just like, and you can see Jared's face going from mild amusement, like, oh shit, I'm getting this shit slapped out of me, to, oh well damn, that kind of sucks, to, oh my God, I'm gonna get you right now. It's great.
I gave him a black eye.
You gave Jared a black eye.
Yeah, my bad.
Oh my God, you gotta send that to me. All right. All right, we got any other questions? All right, so give me a second to get my little water here.
Time for me to talk about lightweight sumo. Because I was left alone with mine. Right up front, we actually have a Team USA competitor, Justin Kizzard.
World-class athlete.
An absolute monstrosity of a man.
Yeah, you
He
ever
doesn't
In a
want
small package.
you want to ever see what it's like to have me? At the time when I started sumo, I was 525 pounds, and the first time I faced Justin Kizzard was in front of a crowd at the Fort Worth Japanese Fall Festival. He seriously slammed me down like a sack of potatoes. Like, no bullshit, just like, boom! And I had no idea. First thing, I was just locked up. Next thing I know, I'm looking at the sky.
You know what?
Crazy. And then, speaking of, we also have Kyle Ferrier from Iron Wave Sumo from Colorado Springs.
Stand up. Get up.
Absolute freaking unit. I can't move this guy. See, I'm usually the guy that's hard to move. I can't move that guy. Total brick wall. We have Caleb Backus. Caleb Backus has the rank of sensei from Mighty Eagle Sumo.
Where are they at?
They are in San Antonio.
Oh yeah, wait, where?
Justin's in Austin.
Yeah, Justin Kizzard, the world-class athlete, is with Dark Circle Sumo in Austin. We also have Nicholas Ton. Nicholas Ton is with Shogeki Sumo in Houston. It was awesome. I saw, I think there was like some kind of party last night. What was it? I think there was like a DJ or something. I saw these guys doing Chico on the dance floor. It never ends.
You've mentioned Chico twice now.
Oh, Chico, the sumo style. See, Dakota will demonstrate. I got it. Yeah, if you didn't know, yesterday we were explaining Shiko. That's to, stomp the bad spirits out of the ground, promote a good harvest, and it's also a good strengthening exercise. It's good for the legs, it's good for the glutes. Because I myself am trying to get a sexy ass. Because right now my butt cheeks look like Homer Simpson's mouth, and it does not.
At least you have butt cheeks. I don't even have it.
So that's why I do sumo. I'm only in it for the ass. All right.
I guess I took a drink. You said that.
Are there any anime characters that remind you of your club members?
Oh, are there any anime characters that remind me of club members? Let's see here. So, Corey kind of nailed his, especially just in terms of how they look. I would say Corey definitely nails the Kurosaki. And Dakota in fighting spirit and technique, I would say is more like Gojo. But I would say in stature, Mitsuhashi-ish.
I made a whole spreadsheet.
Oh my god, I forgot about the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I made a whole spreadsheet just labeling different Dallas Sumo Club members as members of Hinomaru Sumo.
Oh my god, who am I?
Who were you cosplaying this day?
Oh,
I was having a stroke.
Oh, I was Kuze Sosuke yesterday. My hair is I wasn't able to do the hair thing because my hair's not that luxurious, but I had the red washi in a second, so I was Kuze Sosuke. But let's see, Jared. Who would you be, Jared? We were trying to.
Jared was Ozeki.
Yeah, Shinya Ozeki. I think Jared's more of a Tenoji.
I don't know, he's a little too nice.
No, we would have to shave his eyebrows and give him some guyliner. And
A
he'd
little too short for Tenoji. It was gigantic.
be Tenoji. That you got a gigantic fighting spirit.
I think I labeled Kyle as Tenoji.
That makes sense.
I can see Kyle as Tenoji. Oh, and what's the guy that, what's his name? The guy with the big shock of hair, and he's got the big long reach. He's always the pusher thruster guy. Oh gosh, what was his name? Anyway, so we have this guy in the Dallas Sumo Club named Sean. Sean's about 6'6", and he has a 7-foot wingspan. It's insane. But if I could remember that dude's name from, he's like one of those guys you could only see one of his eyes, because his hair is just so anime. But let's see, who else? Who else are the other guys?
I turned my phone off so I can't pull up my spreadsheet. I'm kind of sad.
All right, but yeah, there's definitely some overlap there. I don't know. I feel like I look like Kusei Sosuke, but I'm not that much of a badass. I don't know. I'm 40. I started sumo when I was 39, and I'm going to be 41 in January. So I only have a little bit less than 2 years. So I'm just now starting to get a feel for my skills. So I'm not quite a badass yet, but I'm hoping by next year I will be. So.
Maybe
Better watch out, Justin. Caleb.
Come on.
I fought Caleb in competition 3 times, and this dude always beats me. I've never beat him yet, but I'm going to.
maybe let him know about the American sumo
I
circuit.
just
What's up?
Just maybe talk about the American sumo
Oh, yeah.
circuit.
So, sumo in the U.S., and it is all amateur. So, in Hinomaru Sumo, that is amateur. So a lot of the ceremony and the ritual is abbreviated. So in pro sumo, they throw salt, to consecrate the ring. We don't really have salt. They tried to bring salt to the World Games, but there were just these 2 big giant bags of salt sitting by the judges' table that nobody used. So, anyway, in American sumo, we do the chirichozu, and that's ubiquitous. Pro sumo, amateur sumo, everybody does the chirichozu. But in the U.S., we don't really have the infrastructure that they do in European countries or even Japan itself. In Japan, sometimes the company that you work for will have its own amateur sumo team, and they'll have these corporate leagues, where it's my job to beat your job, Of course, there's high school, middle school, high school. There's college sumo. College sumo is a big deal in Japan, but still, everything's super abbreviated. So in the U.S., we don't have that infrastructure for a clay dojo. And, do it yet.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
There is a high school sumo club in Antioch, Tennessee.
Antioch, Tennessee. The first one that I
Nashville.
Oh, is it Nashville?
Antioch High School.
Oh, Antioch High School in Nashville, So we're trying to bring sumo to the youngins. We really want more young kids to just like really get out there. Because if you start young, like they do in Japan, by the time you're like, 19, 20, old enough to join the pros, you'll just be an absolute unit. You just have like the skills to just crush. So
go to the Hakuho Cup. Hakuho Cup.
Oh, the Hakuho Cup. The Hakuho Cup is an international tournament for kids. So hopefully if we could get some kids trained up in the U.S., we could send them to the Hakuho Cup. Yep. Remember, Hakuho's that Yokozuna, probably the greatest of all time. No, I'm going to say Hakuho is the greatest of all time.
He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
No argument.
So he's from Mongolia, and so he has a soft spot in his heart for, foreign sumo wrestlers. And so that's why he wanted to do this Hakuho Cup to really get youth from all over the world involved in sumo. So I would love to see some American kids go there and just slap the piss out of people.
Who is amateur sumo for? Who is amateur sumo for?
Amateur sumo is for everybody.
Yeah, amateur sumo is for everybody. Whatever walk of life, wherever you are on the gender spectrum, age, skill level, whatever. Amateur sumo is for everybody. So we really want to get everybody involved. In the U.S., though, it's very DIY. Like I'm an old punk rocker. Whenever I was like 20 years old, I used to like book shows and, get way too drunk and get naked and run around, whatever. So anyway, I really find that amateur sumo in the U.S. has that DIY ethos. Let's do it yourself. Let's use the resources that we have together and make some shit happen. And so, I've seen sumo clubs start, with just a battle rope and a few dudes and just some skills. That's kind of how we started. But we're working our way up. We're getting some more equipment. We're getting some infrastructure built up, and hopefully when we do, shit's gonna pop off. Corey actually did a tournament this year. What was it? The Cowboy Cup. And so I'm hoping that the Cowboy Cup just becomes like a mainstay, because I really like only having to drive like an hour to get to a tournament instead of 5.
Maybe talk about some of the tournaments. Maybe mention some of the tournaments.
Yeah, there's a lot of tournaments coming up. There's a tournament coming up December 3rd, and a lot of these tournaments, these amateur tournaments, we've really been trying to have live streams. And so there's one coming up on December 3rd. It's going to be in Florida, so around like 11 or noon our time. It's on, I think it's going to be Grand Sumo Breakdown is going to be airing this live stream. Yeah.
Will you be streaming on Twitch or something? Because I want to watch.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Will you be streaming on Twitch or something? Because I want to watch.
Oh, actually, it's going to be streaming on YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
It's going to be Grand Sumo Breakdown's YouTube channel. So keep an eye on. Keep an eye on. I have a podcast called Sumo Punx, and it's Punx with an X, because I'm cheesy. But
Sumo Punx!
And oh yeah, I'm wearing the shirt of my own podcast. So anyway, Sumo Punx is we do all kinds of amateur stuff, and I mean international amateur stuff, and we are going to put links everywhere. So on Twitter, we are @PunkSumo. Everywhere else, we're Sumo Punx, and always with an X. So keep an eye on our social media, keep an eye on Dallas Sumo Club social media, and keep an eye on Grand Sumo Breakdowns, because that's where the streams are going to be coming from. There's so many tournaments that have just gone on this year, and it's just so cool, because if you can't travel, you could still watch the action, you could and fill out the chats. The chats are hilarious.
Some of those tournaments include like the Consulates Cup. The Tokyo Night Festival was supposed to have a tournament, but it got moved due to the rain. The Mighty Eagle Team Tournament, the Cowboy Cup in Fort Worth. Is it still in Fort Worth in 2023?
We don't know.
Find out.
We'll find out soon.
Yeah.
Those are all just the Texas ones.
Those are just Texas.
Texas.
Those are all local. Texas has the most tournaments out of all 50 states.
Grand Sumo Breakdown. Yeah, Sumo Punx. Yeah, Sumo Punx. We're also on Twitter too. That's where we do.
Sumo Punx is also on Twitter, just so you know, or if anyone's kidding.
So what's coming up here recently, there is going to be the Mighty Eagle Teams Tournament. Caleb is throwing that one together. So it's a sumo tournament in San Antonio. You get to make these different combinations of dudes, women's, whoever, and compete against other teams of other folks. And I'm going to get my fat slapped. It's going to be bad. All right, and then the most recent tournament we did was hosted by this guy. It was Shogeki Sumo, Nicholas Tan. It was the Tokyo Night Festival, but it got rained out bad. Like, it was hell getting down there. We were driving to Houston. There were severe thunderstorms. There was trucks being blown off the road. It was chaos. It was pandemonium. Dogs and cats together, total chaos. And so, anyway, when we, oh yeah.
Are these tournaments usually outdoors?
Some of them are outdoors. Luckily, this one was indoors.
Yeah.
So the ones that are outdoors, usually, we have like a canopy and stuff. Very important to have a tent and a canopy.
It was originally outdoors. It got moved indoors.
Yeah, Tokyo Night Festival was originally outdoors. Due to the rain, we had to move it indoors.
Yeah, it was just mud everywhere. It was just clopping through. It was bad. Huh? Mud sumo. No, anyway, so it moved to this MMA gym like an hour away from where the tournament was supposed to be, but it was really cool. There was one of the competitors that wanted to just give sumo a try. Nicholas was looking for a venue. She goes, "Hey, we could go to my spot." And the guy that owns the gym, luckily, was a big sumo head. Like, we showed up and he's all like stoked. He's got his Takekeisho t-shirt on. Takekeisho's an ozeki. But yeah, he was stoked about it. He's like, "Yeah, dude, we're gonna have the boss show in my gym." He's got one of those voices. "We gotta talk like this, sounds a little bit like a pro wrestler." Like, "Yeah, dude, just badass."
The Basho is the pro sumo.
Yeah,
tournament.
Basho is a pro sumo tournament, but still, ours is just an amateur sumo tournament. But to him, it was the boss show. It was awesome. He was such a really cool dude, and he had a really cool venue. And this is also on Grand Sumo Breakdown's YouTube channel. It's about maybe an hour and a half. Yeah, about an hour and a half long. There was the women's league, and Madison Gwynn is the one that won the women's open weight, and she is the one that actually hooked us up with this venue. So she is a hero in many respects. And then the winner of the men's division was Jared. Jared took home the gold medal and a slew of prizes. Seriously, he made out like a bandit, with all the prizes out there. And there's usually not a whole lot of prizes other than like a medal or a trophy, maybe a couple t-shirts. Yeah, there was like a loot crate. It was badass. Totally jealous, Jared. It was funny, and you can find that match, and it's just that match like on Sumo Punx Twitter and on my TikTok or whatever. But it's funny because Jared wins. I go up to him and go, "Hey, Jared, what are you going to do now that you won the gold medal?" He goes, "Pay some bills." So, humble man. And so we have these t-shirts. We got merch. So this is King of the Dojo, designed by one of our members, Mike Hammond. And then, of course, the classic Cowboy Zuna Dallas Sumo Club shirt design. We also have towels. They're like little towels. So when you go to Pro Sumo, you'll see people in the audience holding these towels with the name of the wrestlers. Like, yeah. So we have our own Dallas Sumo Club supporter towels. Really cool. And keep in mind, we're a nonprofit. We don't make any money doing this. We do it for the love of the sport, damn it. But, doing this takes money. It takes resources. There's a lack of infrastructure that we have to pretty much generate ourselves, as a kind of a DIY outfit. So, if you guys are up for it, if you want to see more sumo, if you want to see sumo grow in Texas, because right now sumo is the fastest growing sport in Texas, get some merch, donate, do whatever you can, because we want to keep doing this for as long as our bodies will hold out, and we want to keep training people up. We want to see kids do sumo. I want to see, some Texas kids go to the Hakuho Cup and just slap the shit out of some of those other kids and just
Where can they find us? Where can they find us? Where can they find us practice and stuff?
Oh, so if you want to come train sumo with us, if you want to come hang out with us and just see how we sculpt our minds and bodies for combat, we're going to be at the Arlington School of Self-Defense, Wednesdays, 9 a.m., Sundays, 11 a.m. Arlington School of Self-Defense. Seriously, it's so much fun, and even if you don't want to fight, the workout is intense. Okay, I weighed 525 pounds when I started sumo. I weigh 390 now. That's just all sumo. So, I lost 130 pounds just by sumo. Which is kind of counterintuitive. You would think I would gain weight to do sumo, but...
I'm gaining weight to do sumo.
All right, so anybody got any more questions? We got any more closing comments?
So, the tournament, do they do cat prizes and stuff?
The one that was at the Tokyo Night Festival that Shogeki did, that one had a cash prize. Usually, I haven't seen cash prizes, but I have seen a lot of tournament organizers trying to up the ante on the prizes. Like Sumo Punx, we've donated some. We have these teeny tiny Takakeisho pins we got from an artist named Movie Mulligan, and you should really check out his stuff. It's great sumo art. So we have these pens that we donated. We are donating T-shirts for the winner of the Ronin Sumo Bea tournament that's happening on December the 3rd. So, more and more people are trying to make these prizes more lucrative, and we're really trying to just get people excited to try to compete. Because sometimes there's absolute dark horses out there that just end up being just totally natural at sumo. Jordan Karst, middleweight sumo champion, started out just doing regular wrestling, regular wrestler, and then just totally, completely dominates everybody in the middleweight category at nationals and ended up competing, at the World Games. So the more people we can get involved in sumo, the more people that have this top level talent, the more that we can start making a name for ourselves. And that's what I really want to do. I want to make a name for Texas sumo on the entire globe. Woo! That would be badass. That's my sumo way. Okay.
You kind of took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say that's my sumo way. I literally had it, and I was like, all right, the moment he stops, I got it. And then he's just like, that's my sumo way. Oh, great. Can't have anything to do with it.
All right. And I want to say thank you to everybody that helped us organize this. Thank you so much to Anime Dallas for having us. This has been a blast. The first time we've done anything like this. And as you can tell, I've had way too much coffee and I'm way excited about this. So thank you guys for having us so much because this has been just so badass. And we hopefully can come back and beat the shit out of each other again next year.
And a special thank you to the Hoya Kakas and the guys from the Sumo School that traveled to get out here. Kyle, Justin, Nick, thank you guys. Appreciate you.
All right. Well, that wraps up our panel. That wraps up our deal. And if you guys want to check out some merch, we got merch over here. If you want to support your Dallas Sumo Club shirt, pick one up.
If anyone was at our fighting stuff last night and got good pictures that you can make memes, please send them to me.
If you guys have any pictures or video from any of the events this weekend, put them on social media and tag Dallas Sumo Club.
Please make memes.
Thank you guys.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.